total war patterned by the Nazis for all Europe comes at last to Germany. This is the frontier town of Aachen, the first to fall under the full weight of Allied military might. Because the Nazi commander Bilk refused to surrender, the city was bombed and shelled for 12 days before the American First Army took the town.
World War II had the most military and civilian casualties ever seen in history. The United States alone had around 418,500 total military and civilian deaths. Worldwide, the world suffered about 45 million casualties as a result of World War II. Even with so many deaths, many lived on after the events. Surviving American soldiers were tasked with the passing on of their experiences, memories, and stories down to their families. My family artifact I chose is my great-grandpa's uniform from World War II. The World War II conflicts began in 1933 when Adolf Hitler gained control of the German government. Hitler's rise to power initiated the introduction of radical ideas and views into the nation's government as well. Wanting to re-establish themselves as a world power, Germany began invading other countries, which defied the Treaty of Versailles. This caused conflict between the nations, and soon the nations began creating allies between themselves. In the end, two contrasting military powers were created, the Allies and the Axis. The war lasted around 6 years, with opposing powers fighting against each other. Soldiers from separate nations had different uniforms that made them recognizable to the other soldiers they fought alongside. American soldiers also had distinguishable uniforms as well. Consisting of U.S. military green wool coats and Army khaki trousers, the U.S. Army was easily identifiable. Medals, ribbons, and badges on each uniform helped to distinguish each soldier as well. Certain decorations were worn on uniforms to signify different highlights during service. Though the conflicts officially ended in 1945, the memories of World War II live on within the survivors of the events. The passing down of the sights and sounds that happened during the war keep the remembrances of those who have fallen to maintain our freedom and the events that happened all those years ago. My great-grandpa's uniform tells stories about World War II as well as stories of my family and our heritage. The Army uniform belongs to my great-grandpa, Lawrence Landwehr, who fought for America in World War II. He later married Julianne Mueller, and they had 4 kids together, one of whom was my grandpa, Mitch Landwehr. My grandpa Landwehr later married my grandma, Catherine B. Kraft, and they had my dad, Scott Landwehr. Scott married my mom, Christy Schatz, and they had me and my sister, Maya. This uniform is important for my family's heritage because if my great-grandpa had not served in World War II, he would have never met my great-grandma. Julianne Mueller was born in Ulm, Germany. Julianne had 2 brothers and lived in Ulm until 1946. Both of her brothers were required to serve for the German government's military during World War II. Lawrence Landwehr was born in 1923 in Cleveland, Ohio, and had 8 siblings. Lawrence started his service in the U.S. Army on October 24, 1944. He was stationed in a German town called Kirchheim near Ulm.
Hi, Abby.
Hi.
This is my great-aunt Heidi.
Okay, so can you introduce yourself to me?
My name is Heidi Borkhardt.
How are you related to my great-grandpa and great-grandma?
They were my mother and father. They met when my dad was in the service. My mom's family did some of the laundry for some of the soldiers, and that's how they met, because her family was doing some of his laundry.
They began dating in the summer of 1945. Lawrence wrote letters home occasionally to update them on how he was managing in service and to inform them of how his girlfriend Julianne was doing as well. I was down to Ulm yesterday to see my girlfriend, Lawrence wrote in one of his letters. She sure is a swell kid. In another letter, Lawrence had Julianne write in German to his mother and the rest of his family. My parents and I like him very much. We can recognize him as a good boy, Julianne wrote. Lawrence also added in a couple of his own comments. They don't know me very well, do they, Mom?
I would say that my dad's personality is one of someone who is very honest and hardworking, and my mom was very giving person. She would always try and help people.
Lawrence finished his service in the U.S. Army on August 18, 1946. Julianne and Lawrence decided they wanted to return to America together. The two were married on February 7, 1948 and settled down in Edgar, Wisconsin. Together they had 2 sons and 2 daughters. Lawrence sadly passed away in 1987 and Julianne in 1998.
What would you say the importance of the uniform is to our family?
I believe it reminds us that part of our family, and your dad included, have served our country, and we owe them for our freedom.
Do you want to say hi to Dad?
Sure.
And we sat down, we went through that box, and there was letters from Grandpa in it, too. Abby was giggling at some of the language he was using.
Much like how my great-grandpa's World War II uniform tells a story, these pictures and papers help Lawrence and Julianne's stories live on within our family. I'm very grateful for the chance to get to know my heritage better through these artifacts.